What's going on, guys? Today we have a highly anticipated lens. It is the brand new lens from Tamron. It is the 70 to 180 millimeter 2.8. This thing is a beast. Yo, what's happening, everybody? It's your boy Andrew Boone here, and it has been a while since the last video. So much has happened. First of all, number one, I got married. Woo woo! I know, and I also bought a house, so I am in the new studio and I am excited to get back into this thing. Without further ado, let's get started. Ever since I switched over to the Sony mirrorless systems, I've been trying to refine my kit. It's getting better and better, and my number one usually is to keep things compact. I mean, what's the point of going mirrorless if you can't do that? When Tamron announced their new line of lenses coming out for Sony full-frame cameras, I was definitely excited. But the one I was most excited for was this one. Check it out. Tamron 70 to 180 2.8. Look at that. So before the Tamron came out, I was actually using a Canon 70 to 200 with a Metabones adapter on my Sony body. And that worked out great, it was cool, but the focus wasn't as good as the native lens, and also it was just gigantic. It was just super cumbersome and I didn't like it. So I thought about getting the G Master 70 to 200 from Sony, but it was just so expensive. And I just decided to hold off and just use my primes until then. But man, when this lens came out, I pre-ordered it right away. So I was super excited about it. So the first thing I noticed when I picked up this lens was obviously the size and weight. This thing is super duper compact. This is hands down the lightest telephoto 2.8 zoom that I've ever used. If we take a closer look here, we can see that just like all of Tamron's other offerings for the Sony full frame mirrorless cameras, it's very minimalistic. There is not much going on around the lens. There's no switch for autofocus or manual focus, and there's no switch for ranges. Another thing that I really liked about the Tamron was that it was a 67mm filter thread. They kept it consistent through all their lenses, including the 17 to 28 and the 28 to 75. Now you don't need multiple filters and you can just use one. So that is definitely a plus. Being so small and lightweight does come at a cost, and for me, that is the build quality of this thing. Overall, it feels good. It feels solid, but honestly, the outside is a little plasticky and it feels a little bit like a toy. I would definitely have my reservations if I were to ever drop this thing. So it does not come close to feeling like a Sony G Master or the Canon 70 to 200 lenses. But yeah, take care of your lenses. Don't drop this thing and you'll be fine. So one thing that is different about this lens compared to Tamron's previous offerings for Sony, like the 17 to 28 and 28 to 75, is that this lens employs brand new linear motors. I think they're called VXD motors. There are two of them, and they're supposed to make autofocus very quiet, very fast, very snappy, and very accurate. You can see here that the autofocus is super snappy, super responsive. Man, it's not lagging or missing at all. I'm actually pretty blown away. I took a few bursts at 70mm and a few at 180mm. The accuracy rate was pretty amazing. Honestly, it missed maybe 2 photos out of the 40 to 50 photos that were taken. So to be clear, I haven't done any scientific test on this lens, but from the shots that I've gotten so far, I can definitely tell that this lens is sharp, crisp, and it does handle chromatic aberration and flaring pretty well. The coatings on this lens are pretty good. One thing I found pretty interesting about this lens was its close focusing capability. At 180mm, it's nothing super special, but it does have relatively close focusing distance. At 70mm though, it does something pretty cool, and you have to be in manual focus to do it, but it focuses pretty close to objects. You can see from the shots here that the image quality does degrade a little bit, especially in the corners. It gets a little warpy. It's not super sharp, but in a pinch, you can almost create some macro shot type of things going on, and I'm really glad this lens has that capability. How much I'm going to use it, I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it and not have it. So next, we can take a look at some video footage and see how the autofocus performs and see how things look. Look at the wife. She look good. So no surprise to me, the autofocus in video mode is super reliable and super snappy, just like in photo mode. But I will say, just like Tamron's other lenses for our Sony mirrorless, the focus ring here is fly-by-wire, and that means there are no gears inside, so you can never repeatedly make any focus pulls. So hands down, my favorite thing about this lens, and it's in part to the size and weight, is that I can throw this on a gimbal, no problem. So I took this lens out with my Sony a7 III and my DJI Ronin S and got some awesome footage. To be able to shoot 70mm all the way up to 180mm at 2.8 on a super steady gimbal, the shots you can get are pretty awesome. I mean, look at that. Look at the butteriness. Oh, that looks so good. Tamron did a really good job incorporating a ton of things that I do like about the lens, but one thing that I do miss and I wish they included was lens stabilization. There's none of that here. What you see is what you get with this lens. You're gonna have to rely on IBIS or the internal sensor stabilization in the alpha cameras to stabilize your footage. And overall, it does a pretty good job, but it's never gonna be as good as a lens and body stabilization combo. As you can see, at 70mm, it's really not that big a deal to go handheld with this lens, but once you get up into 180mm, obviously there's gonna be a little bit of camera shake. You can actually check out one of my other videos here about how to get really stable handheld footage. So there it is, guys. I really do like this new lens from Tamron. It is compact, it's lightweight, it is very sharp, and honestly, the autofocus is just super reliable. So that's all, folks. I hope you guys liked this video. If you guys have any comments or questions, hit me up in the comment section below, and definitely please smash that like and subscribe button. All right, so until next time, guys, be good, stay safe, take care of each other. Peace.